Mm, 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 So good to be seen, and it's even better to see you. What's going on? Welcome back to yet another episode of Focus, which is a series of interviews aimed at picking the brain of some of my favorite photographers from all around the world. Today's guest needs absolutely no introduction, unless, of course, you live under a rock, and it is none other than Vanessa Joy, Canon Explorer of Light, joining us today. Vanessa, how is it going?
It is going. It is actually below 80 degrees here in Texas for the first time in like 3 months. And I'm cold. I put pants on today.
Really? Okay, wonderful. I just got back
I
from
should
New
turn
York.
the heat on in my car driving my kid to school.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear. So Vanessa, I thank you. This means the world to me that you'd share a little bit of your time to, sit down with me and sort of banter back and forth a little bit about photography as well. But more importantly, I want to get to know who Vanessa Joy is on a more personal level. So to do that, I am going to go ahead and ask you a series of rapid fire questions. These are just straight from the cuff. You can let us know whatever comes to mind as soon as the answer comes about. Kind of get the blood flowing, and we'll get down to the nitty gritty soon. You ready to start?
Sounds good.
All righty. What is your best childhood memory?
I don't know. I don't have that many great childhood memories, to be honest.
Okay.
I can't think of one that's like amazing. I remember being mostly bored, being homeschooled for 9 years.
Okay. We'll circle back to that one. Do you have a favorite movie of all time by any chance?
I'm a huge fan of anything like Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, there you go. You like the sagas, if you will.
Sagas, fantasy, yep.
Very cool. Do you have any hobbies outside of photography? Not saying that photography is a hobby, but anything that you love doing outside of picture taking?
Just hanging with my kids. We used to make wine, and that was kind of a fun hobby for a while, and now I just drink it.
Okay, there you go. Let me ask you, what's Rob's favorite or best quality?
Rob, his best quality is that he's like my power couple partner in everything. And I don't mean that to just be like, oh, he does my video for me. I mean, like, we don't split things 50-50. Like, he takes care of the kids 100%. I take care of the kids 100%. So he's just a great partner in everything we do.
Love it. We'll actually circle back to that here in a minute. What is your current biggest motivational factor?
I would say getting out of weddings and not being a 50-year-old wedding photographer. Never been a goal of mine. So that's motivating right now since I just turned 40.
Okay. I actually turned 40 this year as well. Congratulations. Big 4-0. So quick question, and this is going to be playing a factor at the end of this interview here. How did you end up speaking Spanish?
I love languages. I just enjoy learning them. And I wanted to be a photographer, but I thought I had to have a real job. Mm-hmm. So I became I was like, okay, I'll be a teacher because I can still shoot on the weekend. And you had to double major. So I was like, well, I like languages, so I guess I'll just keep learning Spanish. And I did. I became a Spanish teacher. And then I just keep learning languages for fun.
That's amazing. Polyglots are right up my alley. What are your top 3 favorite music artists?
I am not a huge music fan in general.
Really?
But if I had to pick a top 3, no, not really. And maybe it's because my dad was the lead singer of Ram Jam. So I didn't have a lot of exposure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of exposure to music growing up. When somebody asked me once if I like Smashing Pumpkins, I said, well, I don't know. I've never done it.
That's hysterical. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Do you have a favorite travel spot by any chance?
Probably Italy. Yeah, we're going back in 2 weeks, taking a whole group of photographers, beginners, advanced, to go to Italy.
I love that. We'll talk about that soon enough. I did catch a little bit of fangirling, if you will. Jose Villa was around town, and I did see that on your Instagram stories. You had a lovely time. Lake Como looks amazing. Vanessa, Let me ask you, what is your go-to wedding pose or prompt? Like classic signature. I think it's the veil, because you recently uploaded something about veils.
Yes.
Might be
Yes.
answering your
Just
own
give me a
question.
good veil, get me under it with my bride, and I am as happy as can be.
Okay. And last but not least, what were you up to before photography?
Spanish teacher. That's what I did.
Full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was full time.
Wonderful. Me gusta mucho. Muy bien. All right. So first things first. This is the kickoff question because it sort of sets a tone for what's between the ears here. When did you know that the art of photography would play a huge role in your life? And did you have an epiphany or that aha moment when you said, you know what, photography is for me?
Still am a bit of a people pleaser. So when I was 16, 17, and I did go to high school by that point, public school, and, you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do with your life at that age and go to college and figure it all out, which I just think is ridiculous. I only had my parents really to look up to. And I remember them once saying, oh, your cousin, she's a dental hygienist and she only went to school for 2 years and makes $80,000 a year. Like, that's pretty awesome. And that kind of stuck with me. It's funny, the things that stick with you. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a dental hygienist. And I applied for dental hygiene school. I was the only high schooler to even get accepted. And I went to orientation that first day and I never went back. I hated it so much. And I remember just being like, what is this? This is horrible. What do I actually want to do? And I realized it was photography. And I remember sitting down with my parents and just being like, okay, so I know I got into like this nice school and it was great that I did, but I want to be a photographer. Like, I want to do photography. And my dad raised his eyebrows at me, and my mom, she was kind of smirking because she was a photographer, not quite full time, but that was definitely her side of things. And yeah, I never looked back. I mean, I took photography in college, but, I thought I had to have a real job. So that's why I became a Spanish teacher at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, to answer my own question, I gave 6 years of my life to Uncle Sam working for Homeland Security until, I started realizing that my life behind a camera was more fun and better for me than my life in front of a computer screen working for the government. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for so much for sharing. We sometimes strive to have that epiphany that says that we should be doing X, Y, and Z with our lives. So I appreciate you sharing that story with me. So fun question. Photographers are gear nerds. It's no question that you're a Canon shooter. What's your favorite lens in your kit right now?
My favorite lens is probably the RF 135 1.8, although it's not the one I use the most. The one that's on my camera the most is the RF 28 to 70 f2. It's just so versatile. It's just, there's nothing you cannot shoot with that lens.
Yeah, you and I went at it in the comments on a YouTube video that you made about it because you swear by this lens. And I'm like this close of upgrading from the 24 to 70, which is what I have, 2.8. So yeah, you and Sal are like poking me to make the upgrade. So I'll definitely
well, because you think in your head, 24, 28 or F2, F2.8, like what kind of big difference could that be? But it is a huge difference. It's like slapping on a zoom lens that behaves like a prime.
Yeah. That's exactly what you said in your video. So I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. So going back to Rob, this is going to be a fun question as well. What's it like to have your husband as the videographer at your weddings? And if you can, share with us a great anecdote that you during a wedding that you shot together.
I'm going to tell you a little secret. When we first got married, it wasn't when we were dating, and it wasn't when we were working with each other for probably about 4 years before we even started dating. But when we first got married, something switched, and I'm just going to say it was him, not me. And we started fighting on wedding days. No one ever knew it. I mean, even our crew didn't know it, except for one day it was really bad, and then we fought in front of them. But it was weird because we worked together really well before. And then after we got married, I don't know if expectations maybe switched. He thought, okay, well, this is my wife now. So she's just gonna, let me do all the things that I could never do with other photographers. And it's like, no, I still need my photos without you in them. So it was so funny. I mean, it wasn't at the time, but looking back, it was just so funny, that shift that happened after we got married. And it took a good couple of years to really like hone in and learn to work with each other again, with like more freedoms. But now, I mean, we've been shooting with each other, I guess, for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And now our teams even know each other. We even like, actually, I have a guy literally on a plane right now flying from New Jersey to Texas to go shoot with me tomorrow. And it's a guy that actually usually shoots with Rob also. He's like one of those unicorns that can do photo and video.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now like our crew is so tight knit that we even swap them back and forth because everyone just knows how to work together really, really nicely.
Well, that's awesome. I was hoping you would tell me that you still fight for the aisle with Rob, but that's wishful thinking, I guess.
No, he doesn't even sit in the aisle really. We both tend to take ceremonies very similarly. So I hate being in the aisle. I love being totally back behind every single pew with my 135. I do not want to be in the aisle. I'll get closer if I need to like grab that ring shot a little bit tighter.
Mm-hmm.
But with the R5, it's a 45 megapixel camera. I could even do my in-camera digital crop to a 1.6 crop. And then it's like I have a 200 or 202 1.8 on. So it's like, I don't need to be in the aisle, and he doesn't either. He likes different angles. The only time in the aisle that we do sort of fight with is he loves this angle, and it's a great angle, where it's kind of low down, looking up, focused on the groom, and then the bride walks into the foreground all blurry. And for him to get that specific angle, he's in the pew, but like I always see the camera or like the stick leg poking out of the aisle into the aisle. So that one, like, it annoys me. But especially now with AI, Photoshop, we can get around it.
Absolutely.
And it's like, to me, it's worth the shot for him to get it. Like, it's a good shot.
Right. There you go. Well, everybody watching this video, you now have another Rob Adams shot to emulate. Good for him. So Vanessa, just going back to you here, and this is more of a personal question. What's the secret to balancing weddings, a YouTube channel, countless projects, a marriage, and 2 kids?
I will let you know when I figure it out.
It seems as though you have it all put together, and you can allocate different times to every single task. But it looks as though you do it so well.
It looks that way, and to be honest, at Shutterfest this year, I'm actually teaching a course on like how to do it all. But I think the misconception when people see someone like me or someone that owns multiple businesses, the misconception is that we have it all together to achieve that final product. And it's that illustration of like the iceberg, right? Like what you see is just the tip, but what's actually happening is everything that's below the surface. So it's the same way with me. I mean, it all comes to a head. So if my personal life is doing really well, then my business life is probably suffering. If YouTube is doing really well in my education, I'm typically not concentrating on booking more actual clients. And it's just like this pendulum that swings around all over the place. But if you recognize that pendulum and note when it's swinging too much one way, then you can direct your path back towards center a little bit more. I think it's very key to understand that there is no right or wrong when it comes to how the bottom of your iceberg works, so long as what's actually being achieved is what you want and you're recognizing what's actually happening. It's more like metacognition than anything else. Like, you just got to notice what is happening in your life. And, if you want to swing the pendulum the other way, go for it.
Well, that's actually the iceberg analogy is blew my mind there for a second. I never thought of it that way. A lot of people, see the final product. They don't see what goes behind it to actually make it happen. So I appreciate you being so candid with that. And that's actually really insightful. So let's get down to business, literally. You recently launched Photo Insiders, a community where you teach photographers how to essentially grow their business. What can folks expect if they're considering joining right now?
So Photo Insiders, I created that for a couple of reasons. One, just wanted to have my own subscription service where like my core people are there. And that's where I'm giving most of the value in education, because I found on YouTube, whenever I gave really good education, no one would watch it. But there were people that really wanted that good education. So I decided to separate it. Not that there's not good education on my YouTube, it's just trimmed down and clipped down. But on Photo Insiders, we have monthly videos that are longer. Most of them end up having like a Cliff's Notes version. So we have a shorter version there as well in case you're short on time or just want to review something. And the thing I like about it the most, which to be totally honest, I'm struggling with growing in a way that I want it to be, is we are hanging out together, not on Facebook, not on Instagram. We are hanging out in Discord, which is not a typical place that photographers hang out. I hate the vibe on Facebook. I'm not a fan of like Reddit or really any other place, but Discord, it's such like an old school feeling, like an old school forum feeling that I think people connect and behave better there.
Okay.
Plus, it's really easy to organize everything that I give them in Photo Insiders. Like I'm always updating them on like the live streams that we have every single month, or the new videos that come out, or all the bonuses, or the vendor deals that I give them, because there's like thousands of dollars worth of vendor deals that I have. So it's a great place to organize everything. But I am struggling getting people like to hang out and talk there, because most people just don't have the app on their phone and check it, right? So you kind of forget about it. But yeah, those are all the things about Photo Insiders. I love it. Just yesterday we had a guest on for our live stream that specializes in high school seniors and that kind of photography. And I know nothing about that world. I mean, I know how to take a good picture of a high school senior, but I love Photo Insiders being a place where I can teach so many photography concepts, but the places where I lack, that's where I'm going to pull my network in, because I think one of the best things about being connected to me, whether in Photo Insiders or personally, is after 22 years in this industry, and I think I'm going on 13 or 14 years of being a public speaker in this industry, I am connected to absolutely everyone in this industry. So you want someone else that you haven't been able to reach on this podcast, I probably can connect you with them. So I think that's valuable. And then I pull that value in for my Photo Insiders to make sure that the education there is really, really well-rounded.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it was top-notch. I was in preparation for the sit-down. I took a gander, and you're offering quite a bit for the amount of money that it requires in the investment. So I'll definitely help you out here. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in so that people can go ahead and check it out for themselves and truly see the value for what it represents. So very, very good idea to have your own personal branding attached to it as well. I love your website. It was magnificent. And I must say, I actually emulate some parts of it on my own website. So kudos to you for that.
I had a graphic designer. I can't really take any credit for that.
Okay, not fair enough. So let's have, and this is more so of a tweet that you responded to when I previewed Sal Sincata's sit down on episode 2, I believe, of Focused. I asked him a question, and it goes, so Canon calls one day and asks you to come to New York, only to find out they're making you a Canon Explorer of Light. Talk to us about that moment and what it means to you. And I must add that you mentioned you had a very funny anecdote about Sal that you'd like to share. So this is definitely the time to do that. We'd want to laugh.
So I guess I don't think I shared this before, and he won't mind me sharing it. But we were both, I guess, vying for a Canon Explorer of Light status. I've been vying for it for like 20 years. It was one of my long-term goals. If I was a dream board person, it probably would have been on the top. And the two of us were working more closely with Canon, somewhat together. And, it's very difficult to become an Explorer of Light because it's a moving target. So, Sal and I are both very similarly mindset. Like we set our mind to something, we're going to work and we're going to figure out how to get there. I don't care how long it takes. So we were both kind of in that position, and we knew that they were going to make a decision soon, maybe. And Sal, we would go back and forth, and Sal texted me one day and said, "We're in. Oh my God, can you believe it? We're in." He said, there were 3 spots and, we got them. And, I'm so excited. Can't wait to announce this on social media. And I'm like, what? They didn't call me. What do you mean? He's like, oh my God, I thought they called you. I thought you were one of the 3. I didn't know. And I'm like, no, they didn't call me and all 3 spots are filled. When I tell you, dude, I got back into bed.
Oh my God.
At 2:00
so
in the afternoon. I was so upset. I got back into bed. Like, I didn't cry, but like everything just like melted down into this hurt, like so sunken. I pulled the covers over me. It was winter. Like, I had the big down comforter like over my head. I'm like, I can't believe this. It's never going to happen. I send an email to the heads of that program at Canon at that time. And I would just said something along the lines like, hey, like, is there anything like I can do that you want to, I really wanted to be an explorer of light. Thankfully, I didn't say anything like, screw you. That would have been bad. I'm like, what? He's like, you're in. I told them that I wanted to be the one to tell you and I wanted to mess with you first. And they said, okay. So he was the one that actually broke my heart and then made me happy.
Okay.
And
wow.
told me,
what a prankster.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I haven't totally forgiven him for that yet. I just haven't. I mean, I have, but I need the right moment to get him back. I'm still working on what that is.
Oh, there you go. He's going to have a
4 years later.
kick out of this answer of yours. So that's funny. But at the same time, it's very cruel. So you'll have to devise a plan to get back at him.
That's how us Italians like show love for each other. We're a little cruel to each other because to us, that's like, you're good friends when you can do that to each other and laugh about it.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm happy you both got it. You are truly deserving of that title. I've looked up to you both for different reasons, and both of which are very exceptional quality and service providers and educators, and honestly, just absolute wonderful artists. And I can't thank you enough for being here. So, Vanessa, knowing what you know now about our craft, what's one thing you wish you knew beforehand about running a successful photography business?
I guess I wish I could impart to anyone just starting that it's so much more about the business than you want it to be. You could be the best photographer in the world, but if you're not marketing correctly, if you're not serving your clients in a way that gives them a stellar experience, you're just not going to be all you can be. I mean, you would potentially survive and, have a successful career, but without that focus on business, it's very, very difficult to rise above.
Okay, so definitely pay a lot of mind to the business aspect of it. Otherwise, you're essentially never going to take off, correct? In a nutshell?
Well, not never going to take off, because I think you can be. And then there's always those anomalies that are like just pure artists and they do really, really well without having any business sense whatsoever. But if you concentrate on developing yourself as a business person, developing your business just as much as you develop your craft, you're going to go a lot further than if you only paid attention to photography.
Absolutely. Well, folks, you heard it here from the master herself, Vanessa Joy. Be mindful of the business portion of your photography so that you can actually help yourself along the way. So another question I want to ask you is, are there any fellow photographers whose style you emulated or looked up to that perhaps shaped the way you look through a lens? If so, who are they and why?
Absolutely. My biggest inspiration was Joe Busink. And he was a photographer that was, on the speaking circuit when I was newer, and he photographed celebrities, still does, like Leanne Rimes, Christina Aguilera. I had the chance to shoot with him, actually shoot on his camera last year. And there's a couple of episodes up on my YouTube channel, like a convo I had with him, and then also the shoot that we did. And it was just incredible. And then last week, the other person that I looked up to, the reason why I wanted to be a Canon Explorer of Light was Dennis Reggie. And he was also a celebrity wedding photographer and photographed Mariah Carey and so many different people. And last week, I photographed a wedding alongside him for his niece. And I still can't even like say the sentence straight. He asked me to come be like the ringer photographer to come in and photograph his family. Like it's like mind blowing to me that this man I looked up to wanted me to come in and photograph his family's wedding. It's so surreal. But the two of them were huge inspirations, along with Bambi Cantrell as well.
Okay, wonderful. I'll definitely do my due diligence and plug them in if they have an Instagram account. Maybe you can help me out with that. So yeah, they always say, never meet your heroes, but more likely than not, they're wonderful people who,
they are,
lend an outstretched hand and help you up. That's my favorite kind of photographers. Speaking to that, I just posted I think it was a tweet about how photographers should be helping other photographers and never gatekeeping and stuff like that. And that's why I guess I look up to you and Sal, because, you're the kind of people, human beings, essentially, that like to share education as you attain it. And that, to me, is the most admirable part of, enjoying the content you create. So we thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I know that we're in a little bit of time constraint. So in order to maintain this sort of half-hour gig, I figure we're going to end with a very, very fun question. So again, going back to your Spanish, I would love to ask you a question in Spanish, and maybe you can answer it in Spanish. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All righty, here we go. Si estás en un vuelo de Texas a New Jersey y te sientas al lado de una niña que quiere dedicarse a la fotografía a tiempo completo, ¿cuál es el primer consejo que le darías?
No sé. Encuentra una fotógrafa que puedes seguir y trabajar al lado, porque vas a aprender más trabajando en la vida real en vez de en YouTube, en vez de aprender algo en la escuela. El colegio es basura. Es mejor trabajar con fotógrafos, muchos fotógrafos, no solamente uno, pero muchos. Trabajando con otros fotógrafos vas a aprender qué te gusta hacer, qué no te gusta hacer, y tu vida de fotografía va a estar mejor por eso.
Love it. Okay, so essentially, I'm obviously going to subtitle that for those who are not versed in Spanish, but essentially you're saying that you get in touch with one of your favorite photographers, maybe second shoot for them, be a sponge, and learn as much as you can from the very people closest to you. And I actually took that advice. I'm happy you said that, because whenever I started getting the itch to shoot some weddings, I reached out to one of the most tenured veterans here on the island, and I offered to second shoot for free in exchange for maybe like 4 or 5 pictures that I could edit in my style. And obviously he was crazy about the idea. So we go, and I haven't looked back since. Most of which I shoot is destination weddings. So it's funny you say that, because that's essentially how I got my start in weddings. So great answer. I think I know I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. That's by far the best thing you can do. If you're looking to venture out into a specific field, and it could be weddings, or it could be street photography, or, headshots or corporate headshots and all that stuff. So great answer. I love the Spanish. Thank you so much for humoring me about that. So Vanessa, before I let you go, this is a part where you shamelessly plug yourself. Where can we reach you on social media? Talk to us about any other projects that you have coming up in the next couple of months. Maybe plug in some photo insider information that we not know about. So the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram or YouTube at Vanessa Joy on both of those. And if you go to the link in bio on Instagram, you'll find a ton of freebies for photographers, like posing guides. I think there's a free preset in there. And then, of course, it'll lead you to my website where all of the paid education is, where you'll find courses, more presets, photo insiders, and a lot more. So I do hope I find some new friends.
Absolutely. So, on behalf of Vanessa Joy, I definitely want to thank her for joining me in this episode of Focus, where I pick the brains of your fellow photographers from around the world to get them know them a little bit better and also pick their brain as far as what makes them so successful. So, on behalf of Vanessa Joy, my name is Francis Alvarez. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, stick that thumb you know where. And if you want to stick around and catch more episodes, stick around by subscribing. I'd love to have you. Again, on behalf of Vanessa, I'm Francis. I will catch you guys in the next episode.